Let's watch this video, then we are going to proceed.
The eurobond that was taken in 2013, our investigation is very clear on this. A man called Jacob Juma, the late, he was my friend, came to visit me. And he tells me, Jimmy, there's something fishy going on here.
Some 3-4 weeks ago, Jacob called me and told me his life was in serious danger. He was aware of a plot to eliminate him. He was aware and knew those who had hatched the plot. If you go to his social wall, you'll find it.
And he said, the president stood up when he said he's taking the eurobond.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me now turn to our debut eurobond. The total issue of $2 billion due in 2024. That cash is now deposited in our Kenyan accounts. I want to assure you that the government will spend this money prudently.
And he said, because he's taking the eurobond, they are not going to borrow domestically.
By accessing these external funds, we will reduce government borrowing from the domestic markets.
But when I look at the quarterly reports from the National Treasury, it seems they still borrow domestically and they are not recording what happened to the eurobond. So we started asking some questions. Unfortunately, we got the opposition leader, Raila Amolo Odinga at the time, to write a letter to the Treasury to ask, where are these eurobonds? The 2 billion you say you borrowed, what has happened to it? On a bit of a scare for the then Minister of Finance called Rotich, he released documentation and he showed the following. They managed to get $2 billion. Then they showed us that $650 million went to pay a syndicated loan of Mwai Kibaki. Then $350 went directly to the consolidated fund. He said, very good work, asante sana. Then we said, where's the second one? Show us the same for this $1 billion in September. They said, oh, the second one, it also came. We said, show us this amount of 1 billion, how it came to the Treasury. They sent and put up a SWIFT transfer, but that SWIFT transfer did not show us where that money went. It was completely blackened out. Apart from the top, where you see it leaving an account at JP Morgan Chase, the rest was completely blackened out. We said, where is it? They never, ever showed us.
Henry Rotich promised a blow-by-blow account on how this money was spent. He did an about turn. He never did it.
What questions have been asked to Henry Rotich and he has not answered? To the best of my knowledge, he has given... I have a copy of what was posted on the website, answering every question.
The question we are asking Uhuru Kenyatta, what did that money go to do in that other account which does not belong to the government of Kenya? And the other question is what project did that money do?
The allegations of misappropriation angered the president, who issued a warning.
Let me reflect on the eurobond. If you make accusations and fail to prove them, you too will also be held accountable. The sword of justice cuts both ways.
The issue about eurobond money being stolen, my friend, is utter nonsense. There are some things that are beyond even believability. You sincerely think, Hussein, the government of Kenya can collude with the government of the United States to steal public money from Kenya? I mean, really, surely, this is nonsense. You cannot, my friend, and that is what I'm telling you. All the books are open on this matter of eurobond. And let me tell you, Hussein, on national television, I can look Kenyans in the eye and tell them the allegations about the loss of eurobond is nonsense.
The Auditor General found that none of the funds could be traced to specific development projects.
If a ministry says we spent so much on development, we do not take it on the basis that they've confirmed they've spent. We need to corroborate, counter, check. Let them give us all the records and we sort out all the issues.
Na huyu anasema nataka kwenda interrogate Federal Reserve Bank of New York. Guy, anyway.
Now, the Auditor General in his report further goes to say that all these amounts cannot be attached to not even one project. That money, nobody has provided evidence that it entered this country.
it seems that the late Jacob Juma's ghost is hunting William Ruto, Raila Odinga, and even Uhuru Kenyatta. Because 2013, our country borrowed eurobond. And eurobond, it didn't do very much, it didn't work very much essential as we compare to what the government is doing based on development. So Wanjigi is still on a war and is still exposing William Ruto, Uhuru Kenyatta, and Raila Odinga on how the game was done in eurobond borrowing in our country. And I can recall by that time Jacob Juma, a man known as a businessman, his life, he started to complain that his life was in danger after exposing the government had some deal on eurobond. So Wanjigi is exposing William Ruto and how they did with Uhuru Kenyatta. And could this be the reason why the government is always after Jimmy Wanjigi? Because it seems that he knows several things being done by the government. As Kenyans struggling to pay debts, to pay tax, the government, some cartels or prominent leaders in this country enjoy by stealing Kenyans' money. That is Kenyans' money. When the country borrow loan from outside, obvious those who are in that country are the ones who are going to pay, not the government, because the government is being made by the people, and the people ni wananchi. So when we talk about eurobond did a little to this country as compared to these loans we are borrowing. And I'm very much impressed that I written it here, that Kibaki only had 650 billion loan. Kibaki, only that. As compared to this 10 trillion, which Uhuru-Ruto had, and even Ruto, Rigathi, still enjoying to borrow. And that is why during Kibaki's term, the economy was very okay, very nice, and very strong. Yesterday, I told you very well that if we can manage to rescue our economy, then we should stop borrowing loan. I said, and I know why I'm saying that. Because I was just perusing how Kibaki used to work, the late Mwai Kibaki. And I realized, by the way, in fact, there's more. Kibaki used to borrow less, but he used to save more as compared to Uhuru Kenyatta during that time. And that is what even Jimmy Wanjigi exposing. Uhuru Kenyatta borrowed eurobond. Several governments, tumbocrats, looted the amount Uhuru Kenyatta borrowed, as Kenyans were left with nothing. And Jimmy Wanjigi can as well explain that, because he's the one who always associates with these several politicians. But we should ask ourselves, how are we going to make this our country to be in the next level in coming 10 years, in coming 20 years, for our future generation? How are we going to make it if we borrow loan and this loan can't help us? Right now, the debts we are owing other countries across the world is 10.5 trillion. In fact, it is 11, plus the other China loan. It was 12. Kenyans are still proceeding to pay. It was 12. Right now it is 10 and above. Trillion, not even billion. And we are still carrying on with the borrowing. So, try to calculate. We are in 2024. Still having trillion to pay. Add 30 years. If Rigathi Gachagua will take that position, happen to be the president in the Republic of Kenya, still borrowing the same boat as William Ruto on borrowing loan, then it might boost up to 20 trillion. When it reach even zillion, then we are going to be locked. How will our children educate? How is the government going to plan for education? How is the government going to plan for the health sector? How is the government going to plan for national money allocation fund to the county level? How is MPs or even the governors going to survive to maintain the counties? Apart from that, how are they going to pay government workers if their interest will be only based on loans? So that is what even Jimmy Wanjigi is saying. It is a risk. And we've seen what eurobond have done to our country. Today, Uhuru is hiding in Chweri. No one is even bothering. In fact, if he was in South Africa, then he could have been arrested. If Uhuru was the president in the United States of America, he could have been arrested. Being questioned. You borrowed 2 billion or whichever billion eurobond to your country. How was that beneficiary to the people whom you ruled? Those are the questions it should be asked at this moment. But they gone to an extent of even taking away Jacob Juma's life because he exposed the government. So it means that the late Jacob Juma knew everything. He had known any plan and even how the government used the eurobond, how they stolen billions of money as they left Kenyans with zero. And that is characteristics of African leaders, which I talked about the other day. And if you are not keen, any leader, we are given the position to serve in this country, stealing, not considering the future of this our country, then we are doomed. This is also should be a lesson learned by each and every person in this country. Before you vote, before you wake up very early in the morning, queuing for someone, going to vote him or her, you must learn that this person derail us behind. Why should I give him or her a chance? It's very shameful. We cannot borrow loan and these loans are not helping us. The other day I explained a good example of having loan and not having loan. And I said both negative and positive. Last month, I advised the government, of which he did. Ruto maybe listened to that. He dissolved the cabinet. But again, we are not very much quite keen how this cabinet are going to manage to work to Kenyans. Because what they are doing is just campaigning. Having homecoming event, which should not be done at this moment. Right now, we are supposed to have 1 or 2, 3 things to be done in our country. So this always happens in the government. It means that eurobond did nothing to millions of Kenyans, as Uhuru-Ruto by that time squandered half of it, as Kenyans were left that way. That is what Jimmy Wanjigi is exposing. Drop your opinion at the comment section below. Thank you. Bye-bye. Let's meet on another political discussion. It's very sad that we are having leaders and we can't solve our problem. What might be wrong? We must ask ourselves.